This is NDTV. And you're watching MetroNation Delhi.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about the importance of physical activity and fitness for infants and toddlers. I'm here at Adyant Preschool in Vasant Kunj, and joining me today is Sanjeev Bhanot. Hi Sanjeev. Thanks again for being on the show. And Sanjeev is a yoga expert. Also here today is Preeti. Hi Preeti.
Hi.
Thank you for being here again.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Romi Chawla. Hi Mrs. Chawla.
Hi Sanjeev.
Thanks again for being on the show.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Chawla is the principal of Adyant Preschool. Okay, Mrs. Chawla, what are some of the age-specific activities that parents can start doing with their infants as well as toddlers?
I think with toddlers, children about between the age of 6 months to 1 year, there isn't too much, but yet the children can be, of course, crawling could be encouraged in children because that strengthens the leg muscles, which eventually encourage the child to stand independently on his own. But we should not do it too early, but encouraging the child's fine motor development, by showing some objects to the child which the child can hold or move the hand up to hold, these kind of activities can be done with 6 months to 1 year old children. However, when children are about 2, 2.5, we could also introduce them to simple activities or exercises by way of learning taekwondo or skate.
Okay, alright. Preeti, any ideas?
Little children also, like I think even very tiny babies, once you start massaging them, you're encouraging physical activity. And we also exercise their legs, we exercise their limbs.
Kick out.
Yeah, and then give them little things to hold. In fact, there's this Calcaria Frost, there's a little tablet that you give children for teething. And very tiny children can pick them up from your palm and put it in their mouth. That's fine motor activity. They pick up these little things. So every little thing around the house is giving them physical fitness, teaching them how to be more physically active.
True. I think another great idea for little kids in particular, for little babies, 6 or 7 months. This is something I did with both my children, is in a splash pool, sitting with them in a splash pool and holding them. And the way they kick their legs, I think that's great activity, and they love. I think all babies love being in water.
Their limbs
and their
get
limbs.
that kind of strength.
Right. And Sanjeev, at what stage can one start introducing, a toddler to something like yoga, for example?
Structured, I won't do it before 7 years old.
Okay. Before 7.
The bones are still under development. We won't realize it at that moment that we have bent it a little more than they can handle.
Right.
As she says that, while we are trying to push it that, okay, let's run, if he hasn't maybe even started standing.
We shouldn't overdo it.
And we will not realize at that moment. We will only realize once the person is grown up and then you see something wrong with the bones or with the muscles, with I don't know, whatever else, the other injuries can happen.
Right.
So till they are 7, I will not do structure. But things like taekwondo and all that, there are very basic good exercises I've seen which definitely will introduce, I think at this stage will be more like a discipline.
Absolutely.
I think similar what we used to have in school when they were little, the physical training, the PT like we used to call it, which is basically stretching and some movements which are very simple for children to do. I think that is what we should be following more.
So what ideas could you offer up in terms of fun activities that parents can do along with their kids?
There are a lot of activities that parents can do, even exercise together or going to the pool together, like you mentioned, the splash pool with little ones.
Fun for both.
Yeah, and then when they're a little older, going to the big pool together.
Yes. Okay, Mrs. Chawla, what role does a proper diet and nutrition play, again, even at the age of a toddler or an infant?
I would say it plays a very important role because unless a child is being offered the right kind of food, he doesn't get the energy to be physically active.
Right.
So a lot of food is not what is required, but the right kind of balanced, wholesome, nutritious meal is what is important for the child at this age. So all the nutrients, all the necessary vitamins and minerals that would add on to the child's strength are what should be given to the child in a form which is interesting and acceptable to the child. You can't force a child to eat 2 chapatis, sabzi, roti, curd if the child doesn't like it. That would only lead to an aversion for food.
As a parent, what are your thoughts on the importance of diet and nutrition?
It's important for the meal to be likable for the child to take it in, and proper nutrition would lead to a healthy mind and body. But that's easier said than done again, you know, because we have to battle against the carbonated drinks. We've got so much of sweet, all the junk food, the chips, and the advertisements that they watch on TV. Every day it's a new thing. I want that chocolate, or I want that pack of chips, or whatever junk food. So it's important to inculcate the correct values from school and home, and also your the meal pattern at home has to follow the values that you're trying to instill in the child. You know, you can't say don't eat junk food and have chips every day at home.
Right.
And I think, you know, kids grow much faster than we can realize, and each stage has a different nutritional need. So to keep that tab and to keep up with it is a bit difficult nevertheless. But as she says, you know, it's perfect time that, you know, the moment kid will like more milk, or let's say more yogurt or more chapati, you would know that that's the need of the moment, because they can't really play much around.
That's true. As I said, you know, I do agree with Sanjeev that we can't just force anything on the child because it's healthy. You need to understand the child's likes, you need to understand the child's needs, you know, at what age, what is important for the child, and then accordingly provided through the meal, which is balanced in all respects. Also, obesity at this age should be definitely kept away, you know, because obesity is a great detriment, a great impediment to physical activity.
That's true.
So if the child is overeating, that should also be taken into consideration, and the child should be, you know, encouraged not to eat the wrong kind of foods and put on weight, which would later become a problem for him.
I think there is an issue also that, you know, because parents are so busy in doing whatever they are doing in their life, they don't have enough time, so they compensate with something or the other. So I think there is also this food also add into their emotional imbalance. Because I'm not physically there, I can't really give them. So each time I go home, I take something which I really love it. Yeah, absolutely.
What about, you know, parents, what are the pitfalls of, you know, pushing your child too much? Because, you know, we've heard in the media, of course, you know, of little children who are running marathons and little children who are doing, you know, things that they really ought not to be doing for their age. But again, you know, parents are very competitive with each other, and, you know, are trying to make sure that their children excel at a sport and, you know, compete at sports when they're not physically ready. So what are your thoughts, Mrs. Chawla?
I think we should give up being super parents, first of all. In an attempt to make children, you know, excel at everything, we are actually overdoing it. It is really not important that your child knows 10 games or is a master of, you know, 5 sports. It's really not important. I think if the child is enjoying even one sport and is doing well at it, if not even being a winner all the time, at least he's a participant in that sport. He's learning so much. He's learning to face failures in life. He's learning to be part of a team. He's learning to respect feelings of other people. So, which is so very important, and in fact more important than being a winner always.
And Preeti, what, because, you know, a lot of this, as I said, was, you know, it's peer pressure amongst parents, right? So then, I mean, do you sort of, do you push back personally when it comes to all of this, or what advice would you give to parents?
I think the parents would need to push back personally. I'll tell you what happened to me this summer. We weren't traveling so much. We just moved from the farm to a small apartment here. We're in transition, we're moving on to our house. So we were here, and I thought the children would be really upset, you know, being cooped up in a smaller place. So through the summer, I get them busy with activities, drawing, coloring, skating, one thing and another, like Mrs. Chawla was saying. And at the end of the vacation, my son was literally ready to push back, and he said, I don't want to go anywhere. You just don't let me be by myself.
Lastly, Mrs. Chawla, what advice can you offer in terms of safety, you know, outdoor safety, when your child does go to the park to play? What advice could you give?
The child should not be encouraged too much into doing things which are not age appropriate. You know, for instance, in a park they might try to emulate the older children, and then in an attempt to copy them, they might just get hurt themselves.
So I think it should always be supervised.
It has to be supervised.
Any more tips, Preeti?
Simran, you know, my children have taught me to let go. Because I was very, very scared about sending them to the park, and they would never go out with the maid. There would always be me tagging along, but my children taught me how to let go. Now what I do is just make sure that they're wearing trousers. Their knees are covered, because they fall down and they cut their knees immediately. So I make sure every day that they're in trousers, both of them, my son and my daughter. Full sleeves if possible, if there's a mosquito season or dengue is a concern.
I always try to figure out how do I say it besides saying just no. So when I see that, okay, this is I don't want him or her to do, then I immediately think what else the person can do.
Okay, so
I
you provide an
immediately give them as an
alternative.
option. If I think don't do this, I would say let's do that.
Let's now have a look at the nutritional requirements for an active child.
Nutritional requirements if your child is into sports. In addition to getting the right amount of calories, it takes a variety of nutrients to keep young athletes performing at their best. Vitamins and minerals. Kids need a variety of vitamins and minerals. Calcium and iron are two important minerals for athletes. Protein is needed to build and repair muscles, but most kids get plenty of protein through a balanced diet, and too much protein can lead to dehydration and calcium loss. Carbs provide energy for the body. Some diet plans have urged weight-conscious adults